What's up everyone, Slasher Movies here. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day because I know I am, because I get to share with you guys a video I absolutely love to make, and that is the top 10 best horror movies of 2019. Y'all, 2019 was a stacked year. We had so many great freaking horror movies. It was such a great time to go to the cinemas, from whether they were big, massive mainstream films to low-budget indie films to, hidden gems. Man, there was so much good horror in 2019. That, of course, making this list was extremely difficult, but like always, I have a few honorable mentions that I'd like to shout out. Hagazusa, A Heathen's Curse, Knife and Heart, Crawl, The Perfection, and Annabelle Comes Home. I really wanted Annabelle Comes Home in my top 10. The fact I couldn't squeeze it in, it kind of hurt. So starting my list off at number 10, I have Little Monsters. Y'all, this movie is so pure and delightful. I love this movie. It has got such energetic tone and vibe. I think Lupita Nyong'o's performance in this film is fantastic. I love the gory nature of the film, but I also love that it knows how to bleed the line of seriousness and wacky comedy. It's like Shaun of the Dead meets Life is Beautiful. I just absolutely adore this film, and it made me cry. My number 9 film is Daniel Isn't Real. Y'all, this movie is an acid trip, but it is so bonkers and fun and entertaining. And the narrative structure of this movie and the characters and everything about this movie is so chaotic, but it all works fantastically. I love this movie. And one of the things that I actually personally really like about this movie is while watching it for the first time, it was one of those movies where everything is so over the top and so out there, but it also fits with the tone and the narrative that's being played, that you keep thinking something's going to happen. That's going to be that moment. It's going to push the movie over the edge and the whole thing's going to self-destruct. But it never happens. And I think that's thanks to some absolutely fantastic performances that really ground the movie, despite what they're experiencing being so horrific and shocking. And the practical effects are fantastic. And I just love the progression that this movie puts you on. It is an absolute roller coaster ride. Number 8 is Dr. Sleep. Y'all, what a movie. Mike Flanagan is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite voice in horror. Consistently, he shows up and consistently, time after time, is making A+ horror content. And I absolutely love this movie. It is beautiful to look at. The performances are fantastic. And I don't know how Mike Flanagan was able to do it, but he found a way to not only make a Mike Flanagan film, but one that respects the novel, respects Stephen King's vision, but also respects Stanley Kubrick, which blows my mind because it doesn't matter which person you like more in all of that. They all have a different opinion when it comes to the original Shining and Dr. Sleep. And somehow this is a hybrid of all of it, and it works beautifully. And I think Rebecca Ferguson as Rose the Hat is an iconic horror character. And the whole experience that I had with this movie, from going to the Stanley Hotel and getting to experience that, to watching this movie, was one of the joys of 2019 for me. Coming in at number 7 is Us. Y'all, I know this movie's a bit high on my list compared to others, but this is a movie that universally is going to be on a lot of people's favorite horror films of 2019 list, and rightfully so. Jordan Peele's sophomore film shows that this man is a storyteller, and I cannot wait to see what more he brings to the genre. This is fantastic. I love the premise of this movie about doppelgangers and how we ourselves are our own worst enemies and all that stuff. And I think Lupita Nyong'o's performance in this movie is fantastic. Winston Duke is fantastic. I think Elizabeth Moss kind of steals this movie. It is so brilliant, and that second act in a house is absolutely terrifying. But I'm also a defender of the third act. I love the direction that the third act goes, and the more I've watched it, the more I pick up from it. And I love a movie that makes you feel like you have to see it again because you're only like one or two viewings away from completely understanding it. And I love a movie when it does that and also can still scare the crap out of me. Number 6 is One Cut of the Dead. Like Little Monsters, this movie has a heart, and it's a heart filled with pure gold and passion. But this one is, I love movies about filmmaking because I love films and filmmaking in general. So this movie takes that, does a horror spin on it, and I will admit, the first 30 minutes of this movie can be a bit rough for some people, but stick with it. You will be rewarded, and what you get is an absolutely wholesome horror comedy experience that is just infectious and inspiring and motivative, and everyone on this set not only looks like they're having the time of their life making it, but you're having the time of your life watching it. This was one of my favorite theater experiences in 2019 when I got to see it again, because I originally saw it in 2018. But it is just an absolute joy, and you can watch it on Shudder, and it's definitely one of those films you don't want it to let slide under the rug. Number 5 is Tigers Are Not Afraid. Honestly, I'm surprised that I saw a lot of horror films in 2019 that were not only terrifying, but had emotional weight. Now, horror films having emotional weight isn't an uncommon thread. But this one in particular really surprised me because for a feature debut, man, this one has beaming with so much life. The dynamics between all the children, the struggles that they go through, how they have to, in a sense, become adults much earlier on in their lives is a horror movie in itself. And the visuals that this movie paints and the story of grief and trauma, it is just an absolutely beautiful, haunting tale. And it's a movie where I think a director so strong like this is absolutely going to go places. So you definitely want to watch this movie now. So because when her name is up there with some of the greats, you can be there where she started. Number 4 is Ready or Not. Ready or Not is absolutely some of the most fun I had at the cinemas in 2019. I saw this movie so many times. This is actually the movie I've probably seen the most in the theaters in 2019. I think I might have went 4 or 5 times to see this thing. And I own it on Blu-ray, and I've already watched it like 3 times. This movie is so much fun. This is a movie that feels like it was made for me. I love Samara Weaving. I think she's a fantastic character in this movie. The kills are entertaining. The characters are entertaining. And a movie about a hide and seek game kind of with a satanic cult twist works really well. It's just enough campy and entertaining, but believably enough to ground the entire film. It's so entertaining. It's a movie that actually gets better as it goes along. And the ending to this movie, pure joy. Pure joy. Now, okay, we've come to the bottom 3, and I want to be honest. 3 through 1 are interchangeable, and at some point, they were all in the number 1 spot, while all 3 of them have been out. I have seen them multiple times. I love them to death, but as of right now, these are my top 3 favorite horror films of 2019, and coming in at number 3, I have The Lighthouse. Now, The Lighthouse, in my opinion, is definitely the better made horror movie out of the top 3, because this movie is undeniably a masterpiece in the way that it is filmed. It is gorgeous to look at. The black and white cinematography is lush and haunting, and I just love the atmosphere that this movie creates. 2 guys on a rock, chaos ensues, and the dynamics between both characters, in my opinion, William Dafoe and Robert Pattinson gave some of the best performances I've seen of the year. In fact, I would honestly say I think Robert Pattinson gave my favorite male performance of the year. His expressions with his eyes just blew me away in this movie. And William Dafoe's line delivery was also chilling but hilarious. I mean, this movie is haunting, but it's also a comedy at the same time, and it keeps you on the edge. I mean, it feels like a silent movie at times. It's just gorgeous to behold. I love the score, and I think Robert Eggers does a fantastic job directing this film, and I just cannot wait to see what he's doing next. Coming in at number 2, I have Climax. This movie is a hallucinogenic nightmare. It is an ordeal and an assault to the eyes. Gaspar Noé just is a genius in the way he films this, the way he does character introductions, and the way he transitions from one person's nightmarish experience to another person is brilliant. It just makes it this you literally feel like you're descending into hell, and this is what hell is, and there's no escape, and this is just pure purgatory, and it's exhausting, but in a rewarding kind of way. The cinematography, the score, the opening musical number, it is beaming with so much passion and life. But it's horrifying and terrifying at the same time. What an experience Climax puts you on. And of course, we've come to the bottom of the line. My favorite horror film of 2019 was Midsommar. Y'all, this movie, I was a wreck after seeing this movie. This is horrific. It is an assault to the eyes, but it is done with class. It's done with personality, and it is everything that I personally want to see in a movie that is exploring toxic relationships and codependencies. And I think Florence Pugh's performance in this is my favorite performance of the year. I believe her performance is just so captivating to watch. She's a flawed human being, just as much as Christian is a flawed human being. And watching those two people interact, and with all the horrors going on and the culture clash and everything is horrific. And the fact that they shoot this movie entirely during the day makes you so aware of everything that's going on, and it sinks into you. And I love horror that just has something to say, and it's more than just shock and horror. And Midsommar was that. And I think Ari Aster is an absolutely brilliant filmmaker, and he's a filmmaker that, in a sense, is taking traumas and things that even I myself have experienced and placing it on screen better than any filmmaker I've seen, which is why I resonate so much with this filmmaker. And this movie is just visceral, and if you can have the opportunity to see the director's cut, it's fantastic, but the theatrical cut also works really well. I love this movie. So you guys, there you have it. Those were my top 10 favorite horror movies of 2019. Let me know in the comment section below what horror movies you really loved in 2019, which ones you're looking forward to the most in 2020. Just let me know all your thoughts, you guys. I love you guys. And of course, until next time, I'm the Slash Movie Reviewer, and you guys have just been slashed.